Hello guys and welcome back, or if you are new, my name is Tim and I'm a farmhand and I'm going to react. Yeah, that's about it, because everybody in the northern atmosphere is harvesting their crops at the moment, at least their grains. I thought we'd do a video about that. So let's just begin with one. This one is from Hayden on Harvest. If you want to check his channel out, it's 23,000 subscribers, so 23,000 more than I do. 0.9, so yeah. So please like and subscribe, come on, help me out. Right, go and go. I hope they don't have too much music.
So yesterday it was sprinkling off and on all through the night and a little bit through the morning, so it's like 11 o'clock right now, and we're gonna try to get these combines fired up and head out to the wheat field. One good thing about coming from Kansas to Nebraska is that we actually swapped over into mountain time, so we did get an extra hour of sleep, which was pretty nice.
Yeah. Wait, they didn't change much. If I see this like this, when I was in Australia, it looked exactly the same.
Do y'all hear that?
Maybe it's a very old one, can be. Very old combine.
There's no more humming on my air conditioner, which is really nice.
You're driving like this on the road? Okay. You will not get away with that in Europe. No way. Maybe for like 10 meters when you need to go to the other side or so. Something like that, but no, not like he does now. Lovely. When I see that, I want to sit on a combine again. So relaxing. Taking a sample.
Well, Dad went to go run a sample in town, which I think is dry. It's testing 11.9, averaging 11.5. Dips, okay. What are you doing?
11.9 should be okay, yeah. But don't they have like those tests in the car? Like, you don't really need to go all the way to town to test them. At least we don't.
You can't get up through the stairs.
Ah, just go to the door, man.
Yeah, you got arms full. What do you think the moisture went in at?
Me?
Yeah.
I got the same text you did.
Oh yeah, you cheated.
10-9?
Yeah. Moisture went in at 10.9, so we're gonna get to cutting.
That's okay. I want to know how many tons per hectare they do. I hope he says that. See if it's a big difference in Nebraska and in Germany, in Norway and Australia. There's like in Australia Western Australia was it was. It's a big difference between there and Europe. You get way more in Europe. The double tires on the tractor. That's something you don't really see back home because you're not allowed on the road. Or you're allowed on the road, but just 50 kilometers from your farm. So very nice that they do that driving. A lot of farms don't do it driving. I like to do that as well. It just makes sense, you know? Sorry, I turn the music off. I don't want to get any strikes or something like that. It's just YouTube, you know. Looks like they don't use it to make bills. They don't want straw. Not good. I like to make bills. Yeah. Nice pictures. Nice pictures in the background as well. Yeah, if you see that, you really want to join them. I really do. I guess I'm a little bit too late now to ask somebody to drive a harvester. A long time ago. I think it was in 2011, 12, when I drove for the last time, something like that. So I guess a lot of stuff has changed in the software. I don't even remember everything you need to think about, like how dry it needs to be. I don't even remember how much yield we have in every country. I don't know. So long time ago. Very nice. 2-on-1 paddock. Or field. Not paddock. Yeah. Nice Johnny's. Too bad that he doesn't really tell anything about how white they are. Maybe in all the videos he does that. But this kind of big machinery we do use in Germany, but not in Norway. Very, very, very smaller. So it's like gel play in Norway if you see those. But it takes longer anyway because the fields are more difficult to drive. Hills, stones, trees, no straight lines, mostly. If you have a straight line, it's very short. Yeah, I like to see this. Do we get anything? Is he gonna tell anything special? Yeah. I like to watch this, but maybe you guys don't, so I just move it along a little bit. Then
up this field, and the next field is this wheat that you're seeing right here. So the move to the next field is really easy. You just have to get on the highway, go down the county road, and then just go in. But I have to add the field to Op Center, Watch, Op Center's new.
Along the highway, it's very simple. Are you allowed on the highway with that thing? Or...
This year, this is the first year that we've used it. So far, I like it. At first, I hated it.
Putting this in Op Center.
You know, whenever you're about to like do the dishes or something, and then your parents tell you to do the dishes. Yeah, that's what just happened. The best thing that I like is the boundaries. Like, I can look at all the fields from my phone. Although the yield maps and the moisture maps and all that, that doesn't really work. It worked at the beginning of the year, and now it hasn't worked ever since. So
yeah, that's the problem I see a lot. Things work in the beginning of the season, and then after a while they stop working, stop registrating stuff, like skill as well, and I don't know. It's irritating. Everything that is electronic, it just stops working without any reason, and it's not even an easy fix. Often you need to go underneath or in between something and change sensors again, and you just don't want to do that every, I don't know, 2-3 months.
I don't know what to do about that. But anyways, field has changed and everyone is ready, I think. Let's hit the road.
Yeah.
So right now it is 6:11 in the afternoon and the elevator closes at 6:30. So I don't think Tafari's going to be able to get loaded and head back to the elevator to dump that unless they stay open for us, which we're probably the only, if not maybe a few people that are hauling into there. So I bet they just want to go home. But that being said, we're probably just going to fill everything up for the rest of the day and then just call it there because we have nowhere else to dump. So today's probably going to be a short day.
That's not good. If you can drive, you need to drive, man. Just find a place it's done. Figuring it out.
Dad's laughing and the 18-wheelers are getting dusted out. He's so sweet. The farmer wants about 30 acres windrow. So he can bale it. So we gotta raise the choppers up.
Okay. He wants to build it, finally. Smart farm.
Alright. There you go.
They seed it that way, and he's driving that way. You don't see that often. Most people drive the same way with the combine as they seed. Empty. You always have somebody with them. That's unique. Most people don't really want to sit too long next to you in a combine because they
We're
are
almost
bored.
done for the night. All we have to do is finish loading Cody, and then that'll be it. But we just got done windrowing, so I have to put my chopper back down. Well, with what Mom has and her bin full, should be able to fill Cody, and we already filled Dad and Tafari, so everything's full, and it's 8:30. So I have like a yearly counter that counts, you know, all throughout the year. Last year it kind of got erased, which was kind of a bummer that it got erased, because this has like how many hours I put on the combine all season, how many acres I did with this combine, how many bushels, you know, it made all throughout the year, my average moisture throughout the year, all of my pounds that I harvested throughout the year. So anyways, whenever we get done in North Dakota for wheat, I'm gonna tally all this up and I'll share that with y'all. We're gonna see, you know, average mile per hour in wheat for 2024, the miles, the hours, gallons an hour, how many gallons of fuel I've burned.
Oh, I thought they had music on again. I really start to hate those neighbors. Yeah. Good that I will be gone soon.
How many pounds I harvested. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm keeping track of. Right before wheat harvest ends, I might get y'all to guess, you know, all the totals for everything and see who is closer. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I have no idea, man. I don't know how big your fields are, farms are.
It feels so weird quitting before you even get to turn your lights on the combine. But I guess that completes day one of Nebraska wheat harvest. But that is going to be it for today's video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank y'all for watching.
Yeah, alright. If you would like to see more of his channel, you can go to his channel, Hayden on Harvest. I thought to do another one. I don't know. So maybe we can do that one. Yeah, because it's not too long yet. Ah, yeah, shut up. I already said.
In this video, we're going to take this bare patch of dirt behind me and we are going to try and grow our own bread. Kevin Espiritu here from Epic Gardening, where it's my goal to help you grow a greener thumb. And in my quest to grow everything that a human can grow, we've grown shower sponges, we've grown 100 pounds of potatoes, grown all sorts of weird things. We are going to try to grow our own bread, but this is the final product. We need the precursor, which of course is wheat. So in this video, that's exactly what we're going to do. Cultivate that like button and I will bless you with bountiful bread baskets.
I'm interested to see if he tells how much wheat you need for a bread and how much wheat that is in a year. Because I did a calculation once and I was shocked how much
It's full
how much space you need. And that's in Europe.
Of delicious, delicious bread like this sourdough that my garden manager Jacques actually baked. So let's give this a taste test real quick. It just tastes like success. If the bread that we grow tastes anywhere near this good, I'm gonna be very pleased. All right, enough of that, let's get into the video. The first thing to talk about is the fact that you can even grow wheat and what type of wheat should you buy, because I know a lot of us haven't grown wheat before. It's kind of an unusual crop to think about. You probably just go to the store and buy some flour and you're good to go.
Kind of cheaper, I think.
So what I have here is spring wheat. You have two major types of wheat. You have your spring wheat, then you have your winter wheat. As the name would imply, spring, planted in spring, harvested in the fall. Winter wheat, which is a little bit trickier, is planted in the fall and then harvested in the spring or the summer, depending on where you live. So it's spring right now. I'm growing spring wheat. This is Bolles OG, B-O-L-L-E-S.
Winter wheat is very risky in Norway, but there are a lot of farmers that do that in the south. It's like a, I think, 40–60% that it is successful. Like 60% it's successful, but it's risky.
OG out of Johnny's seeds. So that's what I've got. I encourage you very, very highly to go Google around for your particular zone, because there's different types of wheat and you really should customize it to your zone. So don't just grow the one I'm growing just because you saw it here. But we need to now talk about the site prep. So here we are in the mini wheat patch in the backyard garden here. And what I've done is I've positioned this to the north of everything else that I'm trying to grow. Many of you know I've got some garlic, some potatoes, just some things that I don't want blocked. Remember, wheat's gonna get pretty tall, and so by placing it on...
Not that tall, I hope. Then you have a little bit too much soil. And then it gets heavy when it's raining or there's wind, and then it gets flattened. So you don't want to have it that tall that you set like
the north side. That means that that south sun is going to come in here. We'll throw a shadow this way where it's really not going to block too much. So that's the first thing on site prep. I'm sitting in maybe about a 4 by 8 foot bed. It's an in-ground bed, nothing fancy. This is just the native soil. We didn't even build it up at all. Just cleared this area out with a scuffle hoe, made sure that there's no weeds. What's nice about wheat is it will outcompete almost all weeds once it's established. And there's actually a funny little slogan where you don't need a lot of fertilizer, you don't really need to moisten the soil too much. The phrase is something like, planted in mud and your crop's a dud, planted in dust and your grain silo will bust. Some old farmer slogan like that. And so, you know what? I'm not going to mess around with the old farmer.
it is true, sort of. Needs some fertilizer to have it grow the seed. The better your soil is, the more seed you will have. The closer it can stand together.
I will heed their wisdom, and let's go ahead and get to preparing this soil just by grabbing a bow rake. And I want to level it out just a little bit and scuffle it up so that that wheat seed has something to stick into. So again, all I'm doing here is just making sure I cleared this of weeds, but it's not quite level. So I'm going to level it out just a little bit with the bow rake. And instead of having this nice, smooth, flat surface, I'm actually going to scuff it up a little bit so that we get nice adhesion of the seed. It seems like that's important for the germination of the weed seed, is to actually have it connect with the soil. And we'll do something closer towards the end of the video to really make sure that happens. I gotta say, these bow rakes make leveling and clearing stuff just so simple. One of my absolute favorite tools in the garden. Another thing that you can do with the bow rake when you're preparing for the wheat is to just take the tines and just slam them down a little bit. So when we broadcast the seed, there's a little bit of a pocket for it to sit into.
You just move along a little bit.
Seeds, but first let's look at them close up. In my hand here we have the magical wheat seed. A lot of us have seen this before, but we probably have seen it ground up. This is about as many as you'd want to broadcast per square foot. It seems like about 40 is the recommendation, but I'm going to be a little bit more liberal and we'll just use up all our seed. I feel like I'm feeding the birds here, but I will be feeding myself with some epic bread pretty soon, which I'm just so excited about. So here we go. Probably have about a pound here, which is quite a bit for this little patch, but I'm just gonna sprinkle. And what we wanna do next is, like I said, we wanna make sure that these adhere really nicely to the soil. And I'm kind of a little bit afraid of birds or something like that coming through. And so what I'll do is I will add a little bit of this mushroom compost on top. So I got 3 cubic feet of it. It's from Asmoma Organic, who are longtime partners of the Epic Gardening channel and our sponsor.
You can just cover it a little bit until it grows like 2-3 centimeters. The birds will not eat
of this video. So we'll cover with a little bit of that mushroom compost, and then the final step will be to really make sure that we get good germ. So you'll see that in just a second. So this is the general process. You're just gonna kind of sprinkle like this, broadcast it, and move on. Now this mushroom compost, it's not really because it needs the extra fertility. It can do well in unimproved soil. It's just sort of a nice little mulch layer to keep the moisture in, because they do need water at the beginning of their life to germinate, but after that, you really don't have to water them too much. This is gonna be the only time we give them a really solid water, is this germination phase. So I'm gonna hit them with this bad boy. We'll give them a nice soak, and then we'll do our final step. Our final step is to go on over to the cardboard graveyard. We're gonna get just a piece of cardboard so that we can walk on this and really depress all of that grain onto.
He's afraid of dirty shoes.
The surface of the soil. We're just gonna kind of walk around, do a little shimmy here. Much like we did, or at least Charles did in the no dig bed video that we did a long time ago here on the channel. You're just trying to get good soil connection to these grains. 10 or 14 days since we sowed our wheat.
I just skip a little bit because it takes a little bit too long, I think.
Since we started the journey of growing our own bread. And as you can see, it basically just looks like I have a lawn here. It's funny, someone messaged me and said, oh, wheatgrass is just wheat that's younger, and that is true. That's what you're looking at right here. I could cut all this up and juice it right now if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna do that because I want an epic loaf of bread. And so what I'm doing now, as far as care goes, is I'm just hitting it with water every so often. It's been a little hot here, but apparently as the wheat establishes itself, number one, it'll outcompete weeds, which is great, and number two, it doesn't really need much in the way of water. As far as my research shows, it's pretty drought tolerant, which in San Diego, that's great. I don't need to water this as much as I might need to water some other stuff here in the garden. So right now, I think we're just sitting here waiting for it to grow.
Yeah, but if you give it a little bit more water than it actually needs, it will produce more seeds.
So it's a waiting game. I'll be back to you when there's something to report.
At least in the certain periods. Like now, you see it's establishing seeds. If you water it now, it will be very good for the seeds.
Back over here in the wheat patch, a lot has actually happened, and simultaneously not much has happened at all. I haven't done much to this patch. I think that's why it grows in relatively unimproved soil with not much fertility, kind of like a weed almost. But in fact, this is...
It looks a bit thin though, if you ask me.
Wheat. So some things that I noticed over the course of this growing phase. First of all, we actually do have some seed heads starting to develop. They're not ready to harvest. I'll show you those in a second. But earlier on I had said, don't really need to do much to the soil. I think I could have broken this soil up just a little bit. I did put some compost on the top, but we ran into some issues. There's some dead patches here, and I think it was mostly just because the initial roots after germination really couldn't get into the subsoil. So that was a potential problem. I might loosen that soil up a little bit if I was you. And I also was trying to conserve on watering, not water it too much. And
farmers make it very sandy and very loose, the soil, and there's a reason for that.
Again, we ran into a little bit of a drying out issue. I soaked this patch not 4 or 5 days ago, and the wheat has really responded to that. Nice, beautiful green. So let's just get a little close-up of what's going on at this phase of growth. So here's an area that did germinate. You could see it actually sprouted, but it didn't really thrive. And this was just a high patch in the dirt, didn't get a lot of water, and just absolutely fried. Here, however, we actually have some seed heads. I don't think they're quite at the point that we want to be harvesting them. Again, like I said, you want to wait until the stalk starts to slightly go brown, but it is really encouraging. Seems like on this outside edge, ooh, that's satisfying to do. On the outside edge, you have a lot of the wheat. In the middle, it's a little bit slower, but nevertheless, it's still coming up. So like I said, I didn't do too much in the way of care. I didn't fertilize this at all. I kept it relatively well watered. What I found worked really well for me was a deep soak and then not a whole lot, and then a deep soak and not a whole lot, kind of like you might water a tomato. That's what worked for me. It's still coming up. We'll see you back in a little bit when it's ready to actually harvest and go through that whole process of actually turning this into flour. It's been a few more weeks. The wheat is looking much more yellow, which is exactly why we need to talk about harvesting it now. But there are a decent amount of things you need to know about the timing of harvesting wheat. So let's take a look close up and I'll show you what to look for. Right here we have the seed head of wheat. And so let's take a look really quickly. What we're looking for...
You can taste it. And you notice when it's ready. But that's not even close to ready. It's at least a week, maybe even 2.
Is the quality of the berry itself. So let's grab this one right here. So there we go. This is what we're dealing with. And you have 2 stages. You have the soft dough stage and the hard dough stage. We're trying to get it at the hard dough stage. So let's go ahead and give this a squeeze. If I squeeze this, you can kind of see that milky, sort of creamy paste that comes out. This is closer towards the hard dough. If it was soft dough, it would just sort of squirt out like a liquid. But this sort of texture is kind of what we're looking for, maybe even a little bit more past that. So just to reiterate, you've got the formation of the seed head, then you have pollination, the seeds actually start to get formed, then you have the soft dough stage where the stalks should still look pretty green. Then as they start to yellow and they might even get a little bit floppy, you're gonna move into the hard dough stage. That is really just the moisture content. It's anywhere from 25 to 35% for hard dough, If you're a home grower like myself, that's totally fine. You can harvest it at this stage, which is what we're about to do, and I've got a funny tool to do it with. Commercial growers, just for the curiosity, will wait until it gets below 16%. At that point, that berry...
It just 60? Maybe some. Most of the people think that's too risky still, because 16%, it's like the edge, so they don't start before 10, and then they go through the evening until it's 16%. Otherwise, you have a chance that the mill will not take the grain when they take samples, and it's like 16.5, 17, then they say, oh, you're not allowed to give it to us, blah, 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 you know. So just to be sure, you go a little bit lower.
That we just sort of squeezed, what you should see it do is actually crack. So we'd squeeze, nothing would sort of pop out, it would actually crack under the pressure. But we need to harvest, and I have the perfect tool for it. The hand sickle. So this hand sickle has become my favorite tool in the garden for a lot of different reasons. I could prune this off right now, for example. I won't, I still want those tomatoes. But for harvesting wheat, you can do it like this. You come down and actually chop off about, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches above the surface of the soil, and then bundle it up, which is the way I'm gonna do it. But as a home grower, you could just let it be and just pop the seed heads off when it's fully dry. Some people say that the quality of the wheat isn't as good if you do it that way, although it is a lot easier to separate it from the straw. But I wanna have some fun with the hand sickle, so I'm gonna come down and mow this crop down with the sickle. The nice thing about this one is it has serrated edges.
Yeah, okay. If I see it that way, I would not have harvested yet. But anyway, you can of course hang it up and dry it further. I guess you lose less if you handle it this way. Just fix in the seed stays on, basically. So yeah, maybe that's why he does the... Anyway, I don't really need to see the rest. I believe it. If you want to see the end and the bits I skipped, go to Epic Gardening, and you will learn a little bit more about that kind of stuff. So I guess that's it for now. Over 30 minutes, so I think that's more than enough. If you watched me so long, thank you. Please like and or subscribe, or comment what you did not like. And thank you for watching, and goodbye.